So I'd like you to take a minute right now and close your eyes and just take a deep breath. I want you to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's arrive. Let's pretend we're at a garden party together with our beverages. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping. The flowers are in bloom. There's magically no mosquitoes or annoying bugs. We're just together as a community. And I want you to take in that feeling of warmth and expansiveness of all of us, imagining being in the same place, enjoying the summer. One of the reasons that I created that triangle breathing is because of that pause after the exhale, and then we inhale again. So we can feel what it's like to be full and then empty, and that we can actually come from that place when we make choices about how we're going to spend our time and nurture ourselves this summer. So let's see, we have Cynthia from Las Vegas, and let's see, Maria, hi, Shari from Canada, Lisa from Michigan, Lorraine from New Mexico, and Ajit from England. Great to have you all. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, warmer temperatures and sunny days mean one thing: summer has finally arrived. And summer is the season of play. It is when we rest and relax. Many of us wait all year for the flowers, the birds, and that fantastic fresh produce. For many adults with ADHD, though, summer can be both a blessing and a curse. The break in familiar routines for maintaining mornings, bedtimes, exercise, cleaning, self-care, or meals can feel both freeing but also destabilizing. And instead of knowing what to expect from day to day, vacations, kids out of school, and family gatherings can mean schedule changes and breaks in routines that are a little bit unsettling. You may crave a break from work and the life and the stress cycle that you're in, but it can be challenging sometimes to know how to actually shift gears, to downshift those gears and enjoy the change. So I'd love to hear from you all about what's something that really helps you get into the groove for summer and feel like you can exhale a bit. Take that six-point exhale. What are some things that you like that you can do in the summer that can help you really arrive to enjoy that exhale and find a little bit of some settling in yourself? Ovid, the great poet from ancient Rome, wrote, "Take rest. A field that has rested gives bountiful crop." And I know that for me, I'm not great at resting. I like to do a lot of things, but then I also crave, time by the water with my book. Really a good one that I can just kind of dive into. But I like to ride my bike, and I like to work and do things and cook, and I'm sure you're sort of the same. There's a lot of things that you enjoy doing. So when the idea of sort of coming to a full stop halt is a little daunting for me. What does it mean for you to actually rest? So let's see. We have some great responses here about summer. Cynthia says, long, sunny, beautiful days. Morgan, I take naps, go swimming. We're trying to do yoga and juicing. Fantastic. Listen to the birds sing helps me slow down. Let's see. My weighted blanket and heating pad, that can feel really comforting. Evelyn says, I have to set a schedule and an alarm still, but I also give grace for couch time. Fantastic. Lynn, says sitting on the deck under an umbrella and reading. Lorraine says long legs. Gary taking a short walk outside. Jennifer trying to spend time on my porch in the mornings before the kids get up. Oh, that can be so precious, that time. Just quiet with your cup of tea or coffee. Sounds great. Evelyn, you're at a full stop right now. Woo! Melody, cooking. Caroline, the lighter, warmer days help in feeling calmer, but the downside is I sleep even less. Yeah, we're getting to the downside. And even when I'm tired, I feel like I need to get up and do stuff. Beach walks, listening to the sea really helps. Yes. Freshly washed bedding helps me get a comfy window open, listening to birds. These are all wonderful things. Thank you so much for sharing them. I already feel bathed in more relaxation. There are countless benefits to getting rest. We allow our bodies and our minds to heal and reset, and you can think more clearly and have an easier time making decisions. And of course, when you're well rested, your immune system and your sleep quality improve, while your anxiety, pain, and blood pressure decrease. So getting a good rest is fundamental for self-care. But for a lot of us, we don't make it a priority. And for some people, we make it a priority. We get in bed, but we're not great sleepers. I am in that category. I'm not a great sleeper. So, I'm sort of a light sleeper. I think about things. I wake up. I have a lot of dreams. I don't know about you, but it seems like, Caroline, also you struggle a little bit because this is a season where the sun rises very early. How does stress get in our way with resting, and how does stress with ADHD get in our way? Because it can be difficult with ADHD to sort of unhook. One of the key executive functioning skills is shifting and shift flexibility. So how do you move from one thing to another? And when you're going 100 miles an hour and suddenly you need to stop, your body and your brain are like, whoa, what's happening here? So let's think a little bit about what happens when we're stressed. So most of my clients actually discuss stress in their lives during our sessions, whether they're worried about something they can control and have to do, that productive kind of worry, or they're worried about something that lies outside of their control, toxic worry. They're troubled by a sense of tension that's related to that situation or a relationship. And sometimes people feel so tapped out by persistent stress that they wind up running on empty. And then it's even harder to pause and rest because your body, again, you're shifting from 80 miles an hour to 0. And what happens often is that people wake up in the middle of the night because they can't, it's too much of a shift. Okay, I see there's a lot of activity here in the, let's see, Melanie says, oh no, Melanie, you have vertical breaks in your vertebrae and you want to take your son to Mammoth Cave. Oh, well, the positive thing is hopefully your back's getting the attention it needs. Susie got golf and dog training. Morgan, I also feed the turtles by our bridge and it calms me. Maria, taking a walk outside, writing in your diary. Melody, you overthink all the time. Anxiety, panic disorder, and PTSD. Caroline, it's the anxiety at the prospect of doing nothing. I'm so glad you're saying this, Caroline. When I feel I need to be up doing things, and guilt. Actually feeling guilty for resting, even though the rational part of me knows I need to, and it's okay. This is such an important thing to bring up, and it's really true for not just for people with ADHD, but I see this in women who don't have ADHD, that there's a lot of guilt about resting. One of my clients was telling me yesterday that, you have to be doing something all the time. That was how she was raised. That was the ethic in her family growing up. And you never, ever watch television during the day. And I was sort of laughing with her, and I was like, well, what about if you're sick? That's the best time to watch TV. I like to be on my sofa with my blanket and my tea. And she said, well, if you're sick, maybe. So I think it's really interesting for us to understand that actually rest is part of what fuels us to go in the first place, right? And so we feel guilty about things we should be doing because we're in that should mentality. I should be doing more. I should get this thing, get my list down to fewer, my to-do list down to fewer items. And I'm not going to be able to relax until I don't have any things on my to-do list. And that means you might never relax. So, we want to really incorporate into our summers time for rest and time to do things so that you feel like both are occurring for you. Yes, Melanie, that's true. Let's see. Melanie, same. Caroline, oh, Melanie, how I relate. I need an off button. And well, many people with ADHD don't feel like they have their hand on the on-off switch, that it's just on. And then when it's off or when you're crashing, you're really crashed. Yes, Melody, I agree. Oh, Melanie, Melody, excuse me, that's so terrible. Evelyn says, I feel that's where I'm at. I fostered 4 bottle kittens and 2 puppies at the same time, so I didn't have a break. Wow, that sounds like a lot you're handling. I find ADHD means I don't do well being sick, as it means slowing down. Right, and this happens for people a lot of times, like they don't let themselves slow down, so their body's like, okay, we're stopping. We're going to have a stomach virus or a cold. You're too run down. And I think it's always being ill is not necessarily pleasant with a cold or a little stomach bug, but it does offer you a chance to reset. And that's really what we're talking about today, how to use the summer to reset. Barbara says, let's see. Okay, Barbara says, my head is always going, even if I'm not running around. I always need a constructive focus. And that can be very disconcerting during the summer when it's beautiful and people are able to stop and sit in their yard and just watch the birds. And for those of us who have active minds, we're like, okay, I saw the birds. What are we doing next? It takes time. It really does. It is kind of like peeling the layers of an onion, peeling down so that you can really exhale and stay quiet and just notice the spaciousness. For me, I like to think of rather than slowing down, I like to think of spaciousness. I want to feel more grace and a sense of opportunity. And so I have to have space to do that. And if I'm going all the time, I'm not necessarily in my best self. Am I going to show you some exercises? Well, I could. That's a great question. Okay. Melody, I'm sorry that, yes, that happens. Kelly, oh my goodness, I hope you're feeling better now. Evelyn, obviously the fostering event was an impulsive need to be busy. I guess so. And Denise says, does ADHD make you skip around in a conversation when talking to someone? Yes, that happens all the time. Morgan says, I think most of my anxiety is just the ADHD and too much is going on at one time. My therapist agrees the chaos in my head makes everything overwhelming and I can get overstimulated. That is absolutely true. What do you do when you don't have a to-do list anymore? What an interesting question. What do you do when you don't have a to-do list? Put your answers up in the chat. I think that's a great time to really enjoy that feeling of spaciousness. And so I was thinking today what we could do is really think about a little bit about how do we initiate a feeling of spaciousness inside of us, right? And the best way to do that, I find, is with visualization. A little, meditation, something that we can, as a place we can see in our minds and go back to. Melody says, I can't handle complete silence. It freaks me out. Put some music on, listen to a podcast, talk to a friend. Okay, so how are we going to increase the sense of spaciousness that we have in our bodies? Well, what I'd like you to do is to close your eyes again for a second and feel yourself sitting in your chair, or if you're standing, And settle into, if you're sitting, your chair. Really feel your body settle in. And I want you to breathe in through your nose, all the way down your stomach, into your legs and into your feet. And exhale. We're going to do 2 or 3 rounds of triangle breathing. So breathe in 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause at empty. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, and exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in again. Hold. Exhale and pause. Now I want you to imagine yourself looking at the horizon. Maybe you're on a beach. Maybe you're looking at a green field. Maybe you're in the mountains and you're gazing out over a mountain range. See where the land or the sea meets the horizon. Breathe in a sense of spaciousness. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in again. Smell the area around you. Notice the colors and listen for any sounds. As you exhale in your triangle breathing, just let it go. This time, while you're sitting there and you're enjoying the view of the horizon, maybe it's sunrise, maybe it's the heat of the day, maybe it's sunset, I want you to say to yourself, I am able to figure things out. It's good to rest, and I'll get back to things when I'm finished. I'm able to figure things out. It's good to slow down, and I'll get back to things when I'm ready. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, and pause. Look around at your surroundings, at the beauty around you, and remember that you can come back to this place anytime you want. Breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in again. Hold and exhale. Take in a big gulp of your surroundings and make that spaciousness that you are looking at. Feel that inside of you. You are that spaciousness. You are more than your thoughts and your feelings. You are as big and wide as the horizon you're looking at. When you're ready, start to move your fingers and your toes around, open your eyes, and arrive back with us. I see that people really had some comments here, so let's go back to that. A no to-do list is freeing, says Susie. Thank you, Susie, for doing that. I really appreciate that comment, a no to-do list. Because sometimes we get so wrapped up in doing that we forget what it's like to not do. And what are things that I don't want to do? Those things that keep me going. When stress occurs, what happens is that there's too many pressures on your mind and your body. It's a matter of too much. When people are stressed, they look for a quick fix to get their lives under control. They experience physical symptoms and keep searching for a magic solution to make it all go away. That is different from burnout. Burnout reflects a deficiency. It's a matter of not enough. You lack energy or resources because you are depleted. Your fuel tank is empty. You're holding your cup out and there's nothing in it. When people are burned out, they experience more emotional symptoms such as hopelessness, a lack of motivation, and exhaustion. So let's go back to some of the comments here. My counselor says my need to be busy is a way of deflecting and focusing on all the caring responsibilities. I have daughter, son, mom. It shocked me, but he's right. I can't cope having nothing to do, but hate feeling overwhelmed. And this is why I did the meditation that I did, because you can't cope with having nothing to do, but you feel overwhelmed. And there's no place for your mind to go to actually expand into settling into the present moment and being with that. A lot of times people with ADHD and anxiety, we are in the next moment. We are not in this current moment. And for me, imagining beautiful places outside, whether it's the horizon or I'm at the beach or a mountaintop, it doesn't matter, because it's allowing myself to see that place and feel myself slow down and be in it, so that when I emerge from the meditation, I'm now actually in my current space, feeling settled and slowed down. Denise says, I have never been diagnosed with ADHD, but have been diagnosed with major depression, recurrent anxiety, and PTSD. Never had ADHD, but I feel like I have it. That makes sense to me. There are certain aspects of PTSD that really overlap with ADHD, and sometimes, early PTSD can affect how the brain is wired throughout life. Barbara says, my husband is ADHD and I'm ADHD. I never felt the stress before he retired. He can't throw things at me. He can't throw things out. And for me, that's visual stress. Interesting. So you were fine when he worked and you worked, or he worked and you stayed home, whatever the arrangement was, but now he's home. And so you're actually seeing aspects of his ADHD that you didn't have to deal with before. That can be very challenging. Pauline, both my kids have ADHD and neither one is the same. I have to constantly adjust myself accordingly with each child. I try my absolute best to present myself as calm as possible, but my dyslexia keeps me busy in a similar manner as my kids, yet it's different. So there's a way in which what you're describing, Pauline, is overwhelm. I'm overwhelmed all the time. I have to be this way for one child and this way for another, and I also have dyslexia. And so, really being able to take some time this summer and learn how to live with a little bit less stress will fill up your bucket. A lot of times we walk around with a very leaky bucket, and so there's no water in that bucket to kind of refresh us. So we want to learn how to block that hole and fill up the bucket a little bit, and the summer is a great time to do that. Adelpha says, oops, sorry. I hope I didn't lose it. Actually, ADHD is very much challenging, but you have to talk and have some activity that helps you relax. Denise, okay, thank you. You didn't have enough breath. Don't worry, I'm a slow counter. Whatever breath you have is excellent. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I mean, I need a handler to help me not make the poor decisions I live with. I understand that, because sometimes with emotional dysregulation or big feelings, you'll make a decision based on how you feel, and then you'll regret it later. I did something like that this week, and I'm still living with it. Beth, I hear you, and perhaps you're thinking something of like an ADHD life coach, which is a trained person to assist you with such things and so many more as well. Yes, a coach can be great, a therapist who understands ADHD can be great, but it's also about having something in your mind, that positive sense of self that can talk you down when you're on the ledge. All sessions are recorded. Thank you, Julia. Rachel, how do I know if it's a trauma response or ADHD? That's difficult for me to talk about online. We can today, because that's not the subject. It's a great question. There's a lot of overlap between PTSD and ADHD, and there's a lot of information in Attitude about that overlap. I think a trauma response is tied, is a response that's tied to a certain event, and you have a reaction that comes back over and over. ADHD is difficulties with concentration. It's not linked to a fundamentally traumatic event. It's linked to your wiring. Yes, there is, Marie. Thank you. That really helped me pull back and reminds me I can stop and I can stop. I'm so glad, because it's different for me to do these meditations with you here. And I wasn't super prepared, so it was a little bit off the top of my head, but it felt like we were all escalating and we really needed to just slow it down if we're going to embrace the pace of summer. Summer is a time for us to really melt a little bit. Winter is a time, we're going from fall until spring. And this is a time to just, notice what's happening around you. Read a book, draw, knit a sweater. If you want to be active, what could you do that isn't actually takes you away from yourself, but brings you back to yourself? Morgan, I hold stress in my back, stomach, shoulders, and chest. Thank you for saying that. Kelly, I have claustrophobia living in a small one-bedroom on the 11th floor, ADHD, anxiety, and restless syndrome. That sounds challenging. Lynn, after 5 months with a kitchen makeover, I have no idea where kitchen things are and where their home will be. Help, how do you approach this? The kitchen is beautiful, but not so easy to use. I think that when our internal world or our physical world is tossed up and down a bit, and construction will do that, it's going to take time for you to figure out where to put something and whether or not this is the right place for it to live, or if it needs to go somewhere else. So try it out. Think of it as a great experiment, and if you need to, use Post-its to remind you of where you're putting things. Welcome, Margaret. Let's see. Okay, welcome, Margaret. So you're lost. I understand that. It takes time to figure out how to kind of get your mind around this. And for a lot of women who aren't really diagnosed until they get to perimenopause or they go through menopause, it's disorienting because there's so much information, and suddenly you think, oh my God, did I have this all along? I didn't think I did, but I do. And I'll just be honest and say that's what happened to me. Tracy, there will be a recording, yes. Kelly, just diagnosed. Good for you. Thanks for sharing. Angela, do you have any ideas on how to get long lists of things that need to get done accomplished? I lose track and I'm all over with too much to do, feeling overwhelmed and not getting it completed. So the thing about to-do lists, I love the person who said a not to-do list. I call them to-do lists and to-don't lists. So the thing about a to-do list is there are different flavors of to-do lists. So there's the everything bagel, where you dump out everything that's in your brain, and it's all there on one page. And that can be, 17 items. It could be 30 items, but it's a lot of items. Usually it's somewhere between, often between 10 and 20 items. Then there's how are you going to manage that list? So when you look at a list that has 20 items and you can only do 2 in a day, are you going to feel encouraged by the progress that you're making? Probably not. So we want to take that list of 20 things and we want to think about what's urgent and what's important. Urgent has to do with a time pressure. When is something due and how are you going to do it? Importance has to do with a value and an ease in terms of how it's meaningful to you. So we want to take our urgent things and make a second list, and then we want to take those and maybe make a third list with only 3 on them. And then when you do those 3, then you can go back to the second list that has more of them. And then you can go back to the first list and make another list. We've got to break down that big to-do list. Otherwise, it just becomes a to-don't list. I don't want to do any of these things. I'm overwhelmed by them, and it's like climbing Mount Everest. You also might want to look at that to-do list and say, okay, these are things that are really, would be nice if I did, but it's not urgent and it's not a priority. Because if I don't do them, if I don't clean out that hall closet, nothing terrible is going to happen. So I can put that on the wish I can do whenever I have time list, something like that. Morgan, my son has ADHD and is on the spectrum. His stimming gives me anxiety. The noises and body movements he makes, I have to ignore because I know it helps him. I would imagine that could be very challenging for you. Is there any way that you could kind of, when he's making noises or stimming, kind of join with him on that? Maybe do a little bit of it yourself so that you're not just witnessing it, but you're actually, helping him experience it. Caroline, 47 here. One by one, my kids diagnosed, which led me to realize that I also had ADHD. Okay, great. So my son was diagnosed and he's 23. I was noticing his symptoms. Yep, both of us ADHD. All right, so let's look at how we're going to lower stress this summer. So the key to lowering stress is in reducing your commitments and slowing down the stimulation. And for people with ADHD, these options can be really unappealing. How can you relax when your to-do list is 3 pages long? We've talked about that. Who wants to limit activities or work projects and do one thing at a time when your brain wants to multitask? But we've talked here about how multitasking really exhausts human brains, lowers efficiency, and reduces productivity. It actually leaves us more exhausted than before we started doing something. But since the ADHD brain craves novelty, it's important for you to do things that lower stress and help you reset. Things that you enjoy. Drawing, coloring, music, exercise. I'd like you to take a minute right now and throw into the chat, what is something you like to do that helps you lower your stress? For me, I like to ride my bike or swim or go for a run or do yoga. Exercise is really important for me in terms of managing my stress. What helps you? Because the more that you're clear, the clearer that you are about this, the easier it will be for you to start to set up a summer where you have those activities in place, or you plan to do those activities, maybe with a friend, maybe on your own. And here comes the thunderstorm, so I hope I don't lose you. Let's see. Stacy, you had a major brain surgery, it looks like, and you need a full time to stay on a routine. I don't like stress about the right things, creating so much stress. I've lost my keys, glasses, phone. I just joined. Thank you, Stacy, for joining. And what I want to say to you is, the more that you can have a shelf. Oh, this is where I put my phone and my keys, and there's a plug for your phone. That's where it lives. We want to reduce stress by understanding where things live, where they have their places. Okay. Thank you for posting that article. I appreciate it. Okay. Do you just empty all the boxes and go from there? No, Lynn, you want to think about, okay, silverware goes here, baking goods go here, hot mitts for the oven go here, towels go here, glasses, etc. Break it down into categories of things for the kitchen and then put them each in a place. I think that would help you feel a little more like you're making progress. Okay, if it were me, one box at a time, breaking down each box after that, and that way, after that way you slowly think. I like that idea, Kelly. Could ADHD bring on the need to binge on food? Yes, there's a high relationship between ADHD and eating disorders. Angela says, I'm the executor of my parents' estate and building a home and caring for my disabled son. Thank you for the ideas for to-do lists. I made one. It was 3 pages with approximately 20 items on each page. Talk about overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, Angela, you need one list with 5 things, no more than 5 things per day or week, and then go to the next one. Glad you're here, Susan. Yoga is something that you do. Okay, great. So now we're getting into what do we do when we're stressed. Yoga, listening to music and driving on country roads, listening to music and singing along, CrossFit. I did the gym, but I became obsessed. So I would go 2 to 3 hours a day. So I'm trying to do different things. Well, that's a really good point, Morgan. How can you balance what you do for stress? You know, maybe Monday and Wednesday are gym days, and Tuesday and Thursday is yoga. So you create a little bit of a schedule for yourself that's diverse enough that you stay interested and engaged, but isn't, you know, too narrowly focused. Alethea, I love relaxing inside and listening to a storm outside. Yes, I do too. Sylvia, I put on my country music and dance, usually in the morning. Fun exercise. Oh, that sounds a great way to wake up. Caroline, swimming and beach walks, but also watching TV, but on your own. Lynn, yep, that would be great. Greg, does anyone know when Adderall will be available again? Oh, Greg, who knows? And it's a terrible thing. And we haven't really talked much about the Adderall shortage here in our Facebook Lives, and maybe that's something that we'll add to the list for the summer. Let's see, I enjoy organization. It helps me feel calm and peaceful. Sherry, you hired an organizer. That helped. Diamond art, Sherry, also while listening to music. CrossFit, because it gives you a new workout every day. Meditation. Alethea, rubbing cats and listening to them purr. Organizing, it helps me de-stress. I also read and work. And horse riding. Fantastic. So when you have an idea of what helps you de-stress, now what I want you to do is to apply that, take that idea of what helps you de-stress and apply it to your summer. How can you use the slower pace of these warm days to use these self-care tools more effectively? So these means creating new routines for yourself, and they may be temporary and they may feel awkward, but it's okay. It's an experiment. You're trying something. This is an experiment to bring you more ease and contentment. You can pick up your stressful activities anytime. This summer, let's try to plan on how to take Ovid's advice and get rest. Focus on one thing you can do differently. So first of all, let's plan for transitions. It can take a day or 2 or maybe 3 to really settle and slow when you're on a vacation, to peel those layers of tension that are sitting on your shoulders or living in your gut. So think of taking the first 2 days of your vacation to downshift. Maybe delegate items on your list of responsibilities to others, or postpone a deadline or 2 so you can have an easier day at work, or take a mental health day if you need it. Go outside often, whether it's a walk during your lunch, eating your lunch outside, or a hike near your town. Enjoy time in nature. In our meditation, you saw yourself in nature, seeing this vast expanse. That's what actually helps our mind and our bodies and our emotions, and really even our soul connect with who we are, with the world around us, and with others. Keep it simple and regular. Small excursions will restore you as you appreciate the flora, the plants, and the fauna, yes, even squirrels and chipmunks around you. Do what you love. Spend time doing something you enjoy. One of the best things about summer is the opportunity to engage in fun activities. Maybe you're meandering around your neighborhood, or going to a local farmer's market, or a park down the street. Maybe you take a day with the kids and you go on a magical mystery tour. They don't know where you're going, but you know where you're going, to a lake nearby that they've never been to. Or maybe you live in a city and you want to go somewhere potentially to a museum or an amusement park or something where you've never been. Even just walking down the street can slow you down enough to notice your surroundings. So allow yourself to experience the flow of the moment and notice how good that feels. Try something new. Summer's a great time to take a risk and experiment. Try a new activity. Maybe meet an acquaintance, someone you'd like to get to know better for coffee or a walk. Go to a place that's different than where you are right now, whether it's a different part of the city that you've never been to. Maybe you live in New York, you've never been to Staten Island, you try that. Or maybe you live in the Bay Area and you've never been to Stinson Beach, you could try that. So, wherever you are, I'm just throwing out some ideas. Pick a place near your town that you'd like to see. I wonder what that's like. I've never been there. See what happens when you go a bit outside of your comfort zone. And instead of worrying about what could go wrong when you do that, ask what could go right. What might be pleasurable? Because we could predict that something could be fun and engaging rather than that it's not going to go well. And finally, find an accountability buddy. Pick a person in your life who understands your stress and your challenges. Together, with compassion and humor, help each other pick one goal for self-care this summer. And then when either person faces an obstacle, offer support. Remind each other that learning is part of living. You may stumble and you can thrive. When you share a purpose and you brainstorm a plan with another person, you transform your intention into an action. So I'd like you to put in the chat, what is one thing, one goal for self-care that you want to have for yourself this summer? One goal. Please put it in the chat. Let's see. Christina says, music, walk, photography. Ooh, sometimes watching a classic black and white movie, bird watching, 70s music, or nature sounds to accentuate the sounds outside. That sounds great. Kelly, pets, animals, nature. Adelpha, I enjoy listening to music and dancing, not just to release stress. Morgan, oh gosh, yes, it took me weeks to find my son's ADHD medication. His grades dropped so badly. Going to take my son to go swimming all summer. It gives me peace, and it seems to give him peace as well. Isn't that lovely? Gardening. Morgan, yes, we're going on a vacation to the beach in 2 weeks. The first days and last days tend to trigger my anxiety, but the goal is to relax. So just plan that the first day is going to be a little stressful, and the day before you leave is going to be a little stressful. Put that in your head. That could happen. It might not happen, but it might happen. And then, if it happens, you're like, oh, okay, I'm just in my transition stress. And then you can wake up on the third day or the second day and be like, okay, I'm good. I've already had my transition. I'm ready to chill out. Caroline, I work from home and don't stop enough or go outdoors enough. Need to make more of an effort as I feel better and more focused. I agree. The farmers market, flea markets, and antique shopping. Love farmers markets, thrift stores, and antiques. Excellent. Let's see. Caroline, really motivating me. Thank you. I felt quite flat. My estranged father died, then all the dating. Got really sick for 3 months with pneumonia, so just felt low, no energy. I'm glad you're feeling better, and I'm glad you're here, Caroline. Angela, yes, taking time to travel and visit family. You have the time. We tell ourselves we don't have the time because we have all this other stuff to do. Did everybody hear that thunder? Here we go. We tell ourselves we don't have the time, but we have to have time for ourselves. That has to be a priority. And it can be 5 minutes of meditation every morning, or 10 minutes of stressing, or a day, or a vacation. It doesn't matter, but we have to take that time, because if we don't put a rock in the hole in the bucket and fill it up with some water, it's going to continue to leak, and you're going to feel depleted and burned out. Yes, been looking for a buddy, but not finding that. Kelly, maybe you'll find one here. Trip to Port Stanley sounds great. Denise, to make myself happy and healthy. That sounds good. Can this be watched later? Yes, Kate. Take longer walks, dealing with agoraphobia. Thank you, Christina, for being honest about that. You know, you start small and you build, and you give yourself positive feedback, some praise, some pats on the back for I walked to my neighbor's house, and then I came back. And maybe the next day I walked to my neighbor's house and then a little bit and then come back. It's all good if you notice that your progress. Remember, 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still forward progress. So notice this. Rachel, go to the lake and have a picnic. Sounds lovely. Isabel, you're welcome. I need to create that list of all the ideas and that tug at my heart. Caroline, Caroline said, to me, time to go to the beach. It's my happy place, even if things aren't good elsewhere. Cup of tea with a friend, plan a holiday, make it to the pool to do aquasize and water walking 3 to 4 days a week. Great. Start with 3, so you can actually have a chance of doing it, or maybe it's 2. We often set goals for ourselves that we can't reach, so we want to be able to reach the goals more effectively. Barbara, daily walk, a new route every day. Lynn, when you flip out on the day you are leaving, how do you move on from that? I think that preparation would help you reduce the flip out, making a to-do list, and again, sort of spreading it out over the several days before you go, and delegating, sharing the tasks that are on the list instead of feeling like you have to do it all yourself. The thunder sounds really relaxing. Lynn, I'm glad you're not here because I don't hate them. I'm not petrified, but that thunder was very close. Barbara, love thunder and rain, relaxing for me. You're welcome. Everybody's different with thunder and lightning. Some people love it, some people hate it. I just was aware that it was happening and I wanted to let you know and acknowledge it. Thank you for the wonderful wonderful water in the bucket thought. So true. Caroline, yes, agree. I'm used to putting everything and everyone first, ahead of my own needs. But self-care is so important so you can be there for others and give yourself permission to self-care without guilt. That's right. And that's what this Facebook Live has been about. How do we allow ourselves to have less stress so that we can enjoy the summer and let the beauty of the summer and the warmth of the summer fill us up and help us feel, expansive, right? Yes, there will be a saved version. Even just walking out to your mailbox is progress. I agree. Water aerobics and walk in nature. Caroline, you do regress if you don't try. The more I stay in, the less I want to go out. Agreed. Glad you're here. Kelly, I know you like your room, and I'm glad you do. And if you can step out and you want to, great. And if not, you don't. The more that you stay home, though, I agree, it's the harder it is to leave. So give yourself small little goals, and that way when you face an obstacle, you can regroup around it. Melanie is going to send us off today. I'm so glad I joined this. Hearing what everyone else is saying makes me feel not so alone and that I'm not the only one that suffers. Hi, Martin in Scotland here. Great. Fell asleep and I don't sleep. I'm so glad the meditation helped you have a good rest. You can watch this on the replay. Oh, in this class. Oh, Kelly, yes, we're so glad to have you. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I hope that you have a good week. We'll be back next week to talk about siblings, and then we'll be off for 2 weeks and back again after that. So, I hope that this week you can do something that we've talked about here, a goal that you've set for yourself in terms of enjoying the summer. One thing. And whatever it is just perfect as it is. So there's no right or wrong for what you want to do. The goal is to slow down, settle, and feel a sense of spaciousness. Enjoy the beauty of the summer and let it seep in.